Welcome to the Windows channel, and this is the Tech News Update. We are Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017. And today in our Tech News Update, we have Microsoft that had a Microsoft Shanghai event in China. And of course, we knew that there were a few announcements there. Well, Surface Pro 5, well, let's take out the 5 as they decided that now it's going to be called Surface Pro, and that's it. First, Surface Pro has a fanless Kaby Lake CPU and 13.5-hour battery life. So it's kind of a very interesting thing here. So a update to the latest line of Surface Pro. Windows 10 Chinese Government Edition, and the fastest digital pen on the market. Apparently it's twice as fast as the Apple Pen. So kind of interesting, and little announcements here and there of all sorts of other things. And of course, if we learn a little more, we'll talk about it and see if maybe we could do a little roundup of the Microsoft Shanghai event and see what they announced. Google has been in the problems with the European Union for a little while for antitrust cases. Well, the European Commission said that the verdict on Google antitrust will actually happen in the next few months. You know, these things are always very long from the time that they start to the time that it happens and that they get accused of something. Years and years. Of course, Google used all of its appeals so that it takes as long as possible. So apparently coming up in the next few months. Well, the Bitcoin hit $2,000 value for the first time in last weekend. So this is pretty amazing, and brings the total Bitcoin value to just a little more than $92 billion. So it seems that a lot of people are wanting to have Bitcoins. And we've learned that a airline in the UK will start, and also another one in Japan will start actually accepting Bitcoin payments if you take the plane. Facebook new rules are very, very, very complex. I mean, way too complex. If you start reading and looking at the new rules, it's almost impossible to know what's good or what's not. And actually, I was just looking at some of the rules and you're like, okay, I have no idea if what I'm posting is right or not. Now, they say it's to prevent abuse. They say that there's 14,000 accounts just in January that were shut down because of the new rules. With all sorts of sexual content and so on. But the problem is that even if it's sexual, it's not necessarily something they want to remove. It's very, very complex, the set of rules they have. So the reason behind it is they don't want to remove things that might be of newsworthy and useful, but it's kind of hard sometimes to really understand what is or not. So very, very interesting issue here with Facebook, kind of really trying to put really rules in place to know what you can post or not, but man, they are too complex. WannaCry, according to Kaspersky, has infected way more Windows 7 computers than Windows XP. They were saying that, you know what, all the news bulletins got it wrong. It's not Windows XP that's the problem here, it's Windows 7. And as you see here, this is their information. A total, if you take Windows 7, 64 and 32 bits, 92% of, and there's even, home 64, home here. If you look at that, it's like 97, 98% of every computer's infected around the world by WannaCry were a Windows 7 computer that was just not updated, so it could be infected. And so Kaspersky says the problem here is mostly companies that take a long time before they update their machines, not Windows XP, which was a very, very small amount of computers infected. So kind of interesting here to see this, and kind of changes a little bit the way we'll think about it as to what and where infections were. Microsoft announced that the Surface Studio will be available in 14 additional markets, and that also the Surface Pro, which was announced today, will be available as of June 15th. But in 26 countries around the world, which is totally new since usually it was only USA first and then they added countries as time went by. So it seems that they've kind of started a pretty good run of Surface Pro. So interesting to see that things seem to be going okay for the Surface line of devices. Nokia and Apple are burying the war hatchet, as it basically they have settled their lawsuit out of court. Now, Nokia and Apple were going into patent wars. Apple has been accused for some times of patent infringements of some of the Nokia stuff. And, it's like a battle, a never-ending battle. Apple also had some, lawsuits and things against Nokia. Well, they've settled for an undisclosed amount, and they end a patent battle that actually started way back in 2009. Well, it does seem that basically the WannaCry virus or malware, ransomware, basically, as mounting evidence, as many analysts are actually looking at the code, and it seems to be very much linked to a North Korean group called Lazarus. And basically they say that there are so many similarities with the Sony hacking, Bangladesh banks that have been stolen a few $1 million. And interesting, but it seems that if they look at the payments done for the let's decrypt my files, they've had only about $50,000. So if you count that there are really a lot of computers that were infected, not a lot of people actually paid. And it seems that the idea behind this was much more of having a disruption of different companies and different places around the world than anything else. And very, very interesting news items coming out, and what exactly this is genuine, internet war, basically. So $50,000 is pretty much the amount they got, which is nothing. And it would seem that it's just more of a nuisance than anything else. And there was an interesting article also about how these types of malware that ask for Bitcoin actually don't work well, because there are two types of people that are tech savvy, which typically usually don't pay and say, what the hell, I'm gonna just take my backup and reinstall Windows. And the other part that is, well, I have no idea how to get Bitcoin, so I have no idea how to fix this, and that just don't pay because they don't know how to pay. So very interesting story here. So this was the Tech News Update for Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, let us know. I hope you enjoy our videos.